and you are all very welcome, of course, along to our coverage of a brand new season of Enduro World Series racing. We are here in this stunning Italian Dolomites in the region of Trentino for the Met EWS Val Di Fassa Trentino. A historic week for us at the Enduro World Series here, our first ever double header. And joining me to talk through it is none other than our EWS Sports Coordinator, Rory Cunningham, and Rich Payne, GMBN's own master of the stages. Rory, Rich, a busy week ahead. Looking forward to it?
Very much so, yeah. I can't wait to sort of get out there, check out the trails. My first time here. Rory's going to show me the ropes.
Yeah. My first time here as well, mate.
Now, like a lot of international sport in 2020, we were affected by the global pandemic, but we did manage to have some racing and it was pretty dramatic.
Enjoy the slip and slide.
There we have it then, action aplenty in 2020. Rich, what were the standout performances for you?
I think it would be Morgan Char's and Melanie Poujan's wins, sort of toppling Isabeau finally. She's looked so dominant for so long that to see some fresh faces at the top of the podium was pretty standoutish for me.
Rory?
Yeah, great to see new winners, but I thought Jessie Melamed really came of age last year. Won 2 out of 3 races, very dominant as well. Yeah, I thought he was a class above the rest.
So as mentioned then, we are on for a double header of racing this week for the first time in Enduro World Series history. Let's just take a run through of what that schedule is going to look like. So on Wednesday, round 1 of the championship across 4 stages. On Friday, the pros only will race on something we've imaginatively titled the pro stage. And then on Saturday, all 4 races will be competed on again for round 2. So by the time they leave the Dolomites, points aplenty are up for grabs. Let's just go through those stages now and have a look what they'll be facing. Denise Stage 1 Titans, one of the best trails you'll probably ever ride in your life. North Wave Stage 2, Chiasatis is the shortest, 1.24 kilometers. Trentino Stage 3, Animal House is 3.41 kilometers. And finally then the big one, Met Stage 4, Tutti Frutti, an absolute local legend of a trail. One of perhaps the most physically challenging we'll face this year. It's the Queen stage. Don't be fooled by the name on that last one. Tutti Frutti really does pack a wall-to-wall rendition of everything that's difficult and great about riding bikes here in the beautiful region of Trentino. So there we have it then. Now we know what they are facing. It is finally time to go racing. This is it, round 1 from the Met EWS Val Di Fassa Trentino. The Enduro World Series 2021 starts here. The first stage was Denise's Titans. At 2.71 kilometres in length and with 636 metres descending, it was a changed beast from what the pros had practised earlier in the week. The loose dirt and loam having departed, making way for a distinctly rougher affair.
It's really hard to ride. It's like so many holes now that it's hard to keep the rhythm, so you kind of just got to take the hits and roll with it.
That's way harder than I remembered. Well, just struggling not to ride tight. And I was taking it easy because my shoulder in the holes, but you can't take it easy. You need to be out like across the top, so it's making it harder. But stage 1 done.
tough. It's really hard to ride well because there's loads of holes where you don't want them. It's real hard to keep a flow.
What are the big stages for you today? Where's the time?
I think 3 and 4 for sure. And then 4 is huge, so you can easily, 1% on that adds up to a lot of time.
I'm smoked, mate. I think I warmed up enough. We'll be good for the next one.
As we saw in 2020, it was a nearly all French affair in the pro women's field, with only Canada's Andriane Lanfey-Nadeau disrupting their dominance of the top 5 places.
Clean, somewhat. I really had a hard time in practice with this one. I was nervous, so didn't look at lines enough, but lots of GoPro last night. Yeah, happy to have one out of the way for 2021.
How was the first stage of the year?
It's been really rough. I'm coming out of a very difficult winter and have not been on my bike for 2 months, so I obviously feel the lack of fitness 100%. So I just take it stage after stage, and the only matter for me today is just to move forward.
The off-season passing of her father meant that Isabeau Courdurier's win on stage 1 was quietly one of the biggest performances of her career. Isabeau was back between the tapes. It was up to everyone else to work out who was going to stop her.
It hurts. Yeah, it's hard on the legs. Just constant abuse, taking bumps. I think I'm just doing my own thing today and consistent every race and see how we go.
Much of the build-up had focused on Sam Hill's return to action. The free-time champ was back and making more sense of the conditions than just about anybody else. In fact, the only person to make more sense of them was Richie Rude.
No real issues, and I can't ask for more for a first stage back, so like that's a huge positive for me. That track got super beat up, but it wasn't too bad in the race. Some things were pushed out, but I still just had to commit and go for it.
Yeti Fox's powerhouse, like Hill, had missed 2020 due to travel restrictions, but took the win on stage 1. There we have it then, Rory, an explosive start to 2021. Tell us what it's like as a pro racer. You've completed that first stage, what's going through your head?
I mean, you've had the whole off-season to think about, how you're going to approach the first stage, but ultimately sometimes when you get down to it, nerves can get the better of you. I mean, for a lot of riders, they'll be confident they'll be going into it, business as usual. Some of them might have a little bit more of a nervy start, but, it's racing. There's a long race ahead and there's a long season ahead.
And will racers be looking at times at the bottom of the stages, do you think, or is it just all out, flat out for the stage?
I think a lot of racers will, but I'd imagine the vast majority of them probably will after the first stage at the first race, just to see where they stack up. I used to love checking times because I felt like if I was a little bit off pace, I could turn it around. If I was losing time or just not on paces where I want to be, you'd have a quick reality check on your phone and see where you needed to be. So yeah, I think they do.
It is definitely a world-class venue, and it is producing some world-class racing. Let's get back to it. Here's stage 2. The second stage, North Wave's Chiazatis, was the shortest of the race, but what it lacked in length, it made up for in technicality. The depth of talent in the pro men's field became apparent with Zacharias Johansson and Kevin McHale both climbing up the rankings. In the women's race, Morgan Schauer was looking solid in second, whereas the winner of last season's Pietra Ligure round, Melanie Pujan, was catching the top 2. but Isabeau Courdurier was still top of the heap.
Yeah, Matt, you're killing it!
In one of the rarest of occurrences, Sam Hill admitted that he was struggling on flat pedals.
It's hard to have a flow on the flat pedals with all the roots knocking your feet around, so yeah, didn't feel great.
It was Canyon Collective's Jack Moyer who now took charge of reining in Rude. There we have it then, another fascinating stage. Now we are lucky to be joined this season by GMBN Tech's own Andrew Dodd. He's going to be our roving reporter in the pits. Doddy, some interesting new race bikes this year. What have you found?
Yeah, thanks guys. I mean, what a week to spot new tech and bikes. Seen some great stuff in the pits, some great stuff out on the trails as well. Some highlights include that Da Vinci that we've seen, Greg Callahan and fellow teammates running that. So we don't know the name of the bike or the geometry details on it yet because it's still under embargo. It appears to be 29er, 160mm travel, perhaps the new Spartan, and it's got a high pivot on there. And that thing looks so planted out on the trails, as does that new Norco. So that's the Norco range. It's an available bike now, it's not just a prototype. Crazy slack head angle on that, 63.5 degrees. Virtually a downhill bike, some would say, and it looks seriously good out on the trails. GT, of course, also have a secret bike, well, not so secret bike anymore. We can't tell you too many details other than the fact it's got a high pivot. We've seen Windmasters absolutely hauling on that thing. It looks great. We'll have more details at some point. I could keep talking all day. There's so much cool stuff here. Don't forget to check out our videos.
Thanks very much for that, Dottie. Some serious bikes there looking for some serious abuse. Let's give it to them. Here's stage 3. Trentino stage 3, Animal House featured a good old-fashioned horrible climb and was one of the toughest tests of the weekend.
I knew it was gonna be hard. It was actually worse than I thought. I don't know, I think the climb was pretty good, and then I overtook Lee.
Robin Wallner may not have liked the climb, but the off-season training was clearly paying off. He was up 10 places.
Sam, how was that one?
It's hard to race. Tried to save a bit at the top. Going into the uphill, I knew how physical it's going to be.
That climb caught Hill out. The Aussie finished the stage outside the top 50 and tumbled down the overall. The pro women's top 5 were holding station, but Scotland's Ella Connolly and Katie Winton were on the march and now up to 6th and 7th respectively.
Katie, how was that one?
Absolutely savage, but good. It's good to have a bit of climbing back into enduro. I think it's a welcome return for us old school enduroers.
Trek's Harriet Harnden took a superb debut stage win on the 3rd stage of the day. Meanwhile, it was still Isabeau in control of the race. Jesse Melamed was on the move and now homing in on the top 3.
Everyone was focusing on the climb, myself included, but the stage around that was so physical. There's like, even after that, before that, I was like metering my effort, like not putting pedals in everywhere, because like, okay, I need to save it for the climb. And I think I did the climb really well, but then I just forgot how flat everything is once you don't have energy anymore. Like usually you can pump and you can do those little pedals that carry speed, but once you're blown up, it's like, it just feels like you're in a climb again.
A milestone result for Specialized Racing's Charles Murray saw him take a debut stage win, which jumped him up 19 spots in the overall. In the Yeti Fox camp, Richie was sounding ominous.
Big stage next though. Yeah, excited for it, especially after that with all the climbing, like feeling ready to just hammer some downhill.
Blew me doors off, eh?
Happy with how the race is going though?
Yeah, I've had some clean runs. That's all I wanted to do. Have some clean runs, mate. Pedal as hard as I can. See how we end up.
Jack Moyer had one more stage left if he wanted to wrestle the win from Richie Rude. That stage was Tutti Frutti, one of the toughest 6.5 kilometre long ribbons of Dolomite single track lay in wait. The Queen stage and its 1,000 metres of descending would decide the race. Having not tasted victory since the first round of 2020, Lapierre Zip Collective's Isabeau Courdurier took the win. On a day filled with emotion, she beat Melanie Poujan home on the Queen stage by 2.4 seconds. Morgan Schar finished a brilliant second in the overall.
It was a really special day for me because I've had like a rough winter. I lost my dad 2 months ago and I was not even sure to take the start line. And I did, and I just went out and just tried to have fun on my bike and to go with the flow, and that's it, like not looking for anything else than riding. I did not look at the result, I did not look at anything, just focusing on me and my bike, that's it.
Canyon Collective's latest acquisition, Jose Borges, justified the team's belief in him by ensuring that they had 3 riders inside the top 10. In his first race in the pro men's class, Antoine Vidal made good on his prodigious talent. Zach Johansson had a storming day to finish 5th on his new old team Ibis Cycles, and Pivot's Matt Walker was straight back up to pace after missing 2020 with an injury to finish 4th. It may not have been the win that Jesse Melamed was hoping for, but a superbly consistent day saw him finish on the podium in 3rd. On one of its most physically draining stages, one of the closest EWS races in history came down to less than half a second. Richie Rude remains unbeaten in Trentino. Despite taking the win on the final stage along with the Queen Stage points, Jack Moyer just couldn't beat the American racer home.
It's pretty good, like obviously first race of the season, just kind of wanted to go out smooth and have a good time, and started getting some good news. I was doing well at the beginning of the day, so that was obviously good to hear. And I didn't really like take into account like the times throughout the day and the overalls, and I just kind of went for it on stage 4. I thought I had a heater, but Jack pulled some time out of me, and I guess that equated to a 0.5 win for me. So yeah, I'm pretty tight, and yeah, congrats to Jack. He's ripping.
The results from round 1 leave the overall title races looking like this. Isabeau Courdurier leads Morgan Charr and Melanie Poujan. In the Pro Men's Championship then, Richie Rude is out front, but those Queen Stage points mean that Jack Moyer is by no means miles behind, whilst it's equally close between Melamed and Walker for third, as we prepare to do it all again in just a couple of days' time. Canyon Collective took the team's race with that triple stacking of racers inside the top 10. Last year's champions, Pivot Factory Racing, were second. So there we have it then. Richie Rude reigns supreme in Trentino, and a hugely emotional, well-deserved victory for Isabeau Courdurier. She's back at the top of the charts. Now, as I speak, some weather has rolled up the Val Di Fassa. Who knows what that is going to do to the stages? We race again, the pro stage on Friday evening, as well as the full course, 4 more stages on Saturday as part of round 2 of the 2021 Enduro World Series. Stay tuned right here on GMBN, as well as on GMBN Tech and the Enduro World Series channel for all the action from the Met EWS Val Di Fassa Trentino. We'll see you then.